The difference between environmental and ecological justice is that environmental is about fair treatment and meaningful involvement in regards to the development, implementation, and enforcement of laws, regulations, and policies, whereas ecological justice, this is more about the participation in decision making and maintaining of those natural resources in society. Then we have the grand challenges of social work in regards of the environmental justice, which would be creating social responses to the changing environment, which just kind of means that the changing environment, because society is always changing now, this just requires different social responses like new partnerships, engagement, or more engagement in local communities. And on the other hand, we have other grand challenges for social work that is in regard to the environment, which is about achieving equal opportunity and justice. This will work of creating an equal for all environment. It's critical because if we want to have a successful environment and systems, we do need an equal for all environment, which means access and affordability for healthcare, anything like that. 3 pieces of information that I learned is that environmental justice may be about a person's surroundings, but it is ultimately about how this environment can impact a person physically, mentally. For example, in the YouTube video on what is environmental justice, it didn't state, but it did show like a bunch of environments with pollution. Those people in those environments with the pollution, their bodies physically are inhaling and taking in all that polluted resources that it's ultimately going to make their lungs worse. Making your lungs work can lead to heart failure, anything like that. And those environments are typically in impoverished communities that don't always have access to affordable or equal health care like, say, middle or upper class does. Another piece of information that I learned was that environmental justice is considered in today's society the modern civil rights issue. That is according to the YouTube video on what is environmental justice. And another piece of information was that dump sites are located in areas that are considered poor, and majority of the people living in those areas are considered to be a part of the minority, whether that's women, whether it's race, any type of ethnicity that is considered to be minority. Those are the people that are typically living in these neighborhoods or communities. These communities, they continue to have no protection from these pollutants from these dump sites and factories, so there's no access to healthcare, to protecting them from these toxic environments, pretty much. And that is according to the YouTube video Brief History of Environmental Justice. Environmental justice would impact the community that I selected for my thinking critically about community assignment, because my community is the impoverished neighborhoods in Oldham County. The reason I say it would impact the community is because their access to healthcare right now is very little to none at the moment, and that goes to physically and mentally. Both access to both of those aspects are very low, if any, at the moment. One of the grand challenges is closing the health gap, meaning the impoverished communities have access to those affordable health care. That is something that would be considered a grand challenge for this community in Oldham County, is because Oldham County has been rated many times as one of the most wealthy counties or one of the best counties to live in because of education, health. But these communities that aren't getting that access, they're being overlooked on a yearly, daily, weekly basis, because majority of the county is able to get access to these things, but there are these people within those counties, in these impoverished neighborhood in that county, that don't have access to it at all, if any at all. In this week's Soft Chalk, a resource I found to be useful for advocacy for environmental justice would be the Community Toolbox resource. This resource is kind of about how someone can start taking action within their community, and it goes over simple, small steps on how that person's action plan can be developed, how it can be carried out. I just think it's a good resource to have for someone that is wanting to make a change within their community, because it kind of gives them that knowledge of how they can go about creating a better community for themselves, for their peers, or for making a better, like, an example of what a community should look like for other places that they might not be a part of.